Good evening, everyone, and welcome to episode 43 of Joe and Matty Talk New York Sports.
43 part due, because
Yeah,
that one got lost in a computer crash. All you guys got to miss is a massive argument over Jacob Trouba's becoming the captain. I'm just gonna pat myself on the back there, and then we'll leave it at that, so we don't have to rehash that moment. But Manny, how are you?
good. Jonathan Loizaga episode 43. That's the only one I could think of in that fast. Um,
Jonathan Loizaga, I guess it's relevant.
I really don't know any other 43s. There's definitely not one on the Rangers. I would know that. I can't off the top of my head. That's all I
I,
got. Jonathan Loizaga is all I got for any.
wow, I like some of the Yankees that came up. So far, I haven't recognized any of them. Oh, Phil Koch, I remember him.
Yeah.
There's been a Loizagas on there. Damaso Marte, Jeff Nelson, that's a great one. Adam Warren
Jeff
was
Nelson.
43. Do you remember Adam
Oh,
Warren?
yeah. Not a good pitcher. Terrible. Do you remember those guys from like 2017 that were just like
I
awful
love that you
pitchers?
could just rattle off that it's 2017. I would have no idea whether it was.
Oh, because well, you
I
just
would be
meant.
like, it's somewhere in my 30s that happened. I don't have any idea
See,
what
well,
year it is.
that's what scares me a little bit about like and what I've seen, like how much I know, and
That's
maybe if
great.
I generated that to like school a little bit. I mean, here, like I could tell you that
But
because
but
how
that
it
tells
goes
you
in,
it's in your brain. It's just you're not interested in the other stuff.
because like how I think of that, like I was about to tell you, like Brian Mitchell. Remember Brian Mitchell, that awful
The
reliever in
Eagles?
the Yankees?
Oh, I
No,
thought we were
no,
talking baseball. Oh,
baseball. See, yeah, most people don't remember him. What about you definitely remember Jonathan Holder or
yeah.
Chasen Shreve. You definitely remember
That horrible stance, Shreve.
Shreve is terrible, terrible name. God, Chasen.
But Dennis Eckersley was 43.
Yeah. I mean that, but like how I think of that is literally I think, I remember how I think of
Good
Brian
music.
Mitchell.
You'll be
The
the stat.
exact what did you say?
You remember games that I was at from watching the replay better than me. You'll be like, oh yeah, remember when Scott Brooks did a home run and it's the seventh, 2 outs, 2 strikes, and I'm like,
No.
yeah, I do remember a home run. I don't exactly remember. And you'll be like, oh, it was left field. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. But
Yeah,
that's
it
great.
is. It's the way I literally do that is I think I remember Brian Mitchell giving up a grand slam against the Orioles. The
Oh,
same game the Yankees came down when they were down 9-1. He gave up a grand slam to Mark Trumbo with the bases loaded.
Mark
Oh,
Trumbo.
obviously grand
Remember, he
slam.
was good with the Angels, right?
Yeah, see, and then that was the same game. Judge hit 2 homers. Starling Castro hit a game
Yeah, like
tying 2 run
it's
shot in the
ridiculous
ninth.
that you remember that stuff. I have not.
Oh, that was one of the best games ever. They won like 14-11. They were down
Still,
9-1.
it's because you haven't seen any titles that you got all these garbage games stuck in
Well,
your
you
mind.
want to see something even scarier? You want to see something even scarier? Just pick a random game this year, and I'll tell you every single guy who scored it. A Rangers game. Every guy who scored for the Rangers in that game.
All right, well, that's a little game we could play. Um,
Random game. Oh yeah, actually pull it up too, because I want you to make sure I'm right too.
well, I'm pulling it up, believe me, because I don't friggin' remember. I'll remember. Do you remember that hit that Trouba just blew that guy's doors off that
Oh.
changed the whole series? Like that's the stuff that I'll remember.
Well, you remember it because it was Crosby too. You remember it was because it was Crosby.
I hate Crosby. All right,
They
all right,
they do enough whining for the whole league.
okay. I'm gonna go back in the well preseason. That would be a little rude. This is
No, I don't. I definitely don't know preseason.
that's just that would be just evil.
I would absolutely know playoffs, and I would be pretty good with the regular season.
I don't know why this is so hard to find.
If I started like I could tell you game one in Washington, they lost 5-1. Kreider power play goal in the third period was their only goal of that game. Second game the next night, they played the Canucks at home, or no, they played the Stars at home. Fox and Kreider scored. They lost 3-2 in overtime. The next game they played was
Oh,
in
I gotta get these scores up. Okay, very good.
the next game they played in Montreal was Kreider on the power play, Lafreniere. They won 3-1. I don't remember who scored the empty net goal. I want to say maybe.
All right, slow down. I'm scrolling. I'm in September. All right, that's preseason. So what would you say?
Cool.
The first game's against the Capitals, correct?
Yeah, we'll do a couple games. First game against the Capitals, they lost 5-1. Kreider scored a power play goal in the third period.
You certainly got the score right, and Chris Kreider did score in that game. I'm not going to Google the whole thing. All right. Then, okay, let me go to a different game. I'll make sure they're not like crazy game. Okay, how about when they played in Carolina in January? It was January.
When they lost 6-3. The guys who scored for the Rangers were Zibanejad on the power play in second period,
Okay,
Kreider on the power play, and then Greg McKegg.
All right, now you got me intrigued. How the hell you get Greg? How do you remember that? Is insane. All right, I think another one. I have to go.
That one's. I will admit those are pretty easy because I remember like I could tell you the
Okay,
guy.
how about
guys who scored
December 8th? The Colorado Avalanche go to New York.
Jacob Trouba and Nils Lundqvist on the power play, his first career goal, and
Okay.
then they lost. I want to say they lost 7-3.
Yes.
And the third goal the Rangers scored was one of the kids. It was I think it was Heedle.
Heedle, Trouba, and Lundqvist.
Give me one more. Give me one more later in the season. Let's see how much.
You're honestly freaking me out a little here right now.
It's scary how I remember that. I just remember like every moment of every game I've watched, or every goal moment.
Okay. How about January 6th in Vegas?
Oh, they got blown out that game. They lost 5-1. Kreider scored their only goal.
Yes. All right.
That was terrible. I remember watching that. It was awful.
One more. This is like Rain Man here. What the hell?
But there's things that help me remember. I remember it was a dud because they lost both games to Vegas this year. And I just remember Kreider scoring off a terrible goal. It was like off Robin Leonard's glove.
All right, I'm gonna pick a game that a frequent opponent like.
A dud.
No, either an Islanders or Devils game. Okay, here's an Islanders. Oh no, friggin' clicks on it's postponed. Okay, November 24th, the Rangers travel to Long Island.
Okay, I want to say they won 4-1, and it was.
Tell me you don't have a website up right now.
Nope. I'm sitting here looking up in the air. Kreider scored on the power play. Oh God. Kreider scored twice in that game, and then
Correct so far.
Kevin Rooney scored in that game from Ryan Reeves. Honestly, I forget the fourth goal they scored in that game.
Kreider 2, Rooney 2.
Rooney 2, so that must have been an empty net goal because he's not very good. So
that is creepy. Impressive. You will never see that from me. Pick every game I've been to, and I won't remember one. I know what I remember is Messier calling his hat trick.
Well, it's how I do it is basically because I watch every single game. So literally, I remember that game. I remember it was out of the first period 0-0. It was a tight game, and then Kreider scored on one of his little nifty tips.
This is the reason I don't remember. That is. Well, let's get into it. I took my shot at you for true, but we don't need to go any further than that. Any Rangers news? It's obviously kind of middle of no man's time. Any thoughts?
No, I'm going to save my little hockey tidbit till the end of the episode so you get all the good stuff out of the way. It's just a talking point. It's not important. I thought it was interesting.
So Knicks is kind of quiet, but in the news, the Knicks apparently, according to Shams, offered Fournier, Toppin, 5 first-round picks.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
2 of which are unprotected. Do you make that deal?
Absolutely. Yeah. I would miss Obi.
I don't want to give up. I don't want to give up Toppin either, but if you're keeping Julius Randle, then you don't have the playing time for Toppin to get a great opportunity, and you end up losing him at some sort of salary cap. So I'd make that deal too. Apparently, Utah's.
I mean, I don't like the picks, but like again, it's picks. But like also the thing is, it's picks. It's a draft lottery. The Knicks have never won the draft lottery, so like it's
But also,
They
are the Knicks lighting it up with their picks? Look, they had the third pick. Barrett's. I like R.J. Barrett. We've talked about this several times on the podcast.
he's gonna be a
But
stud.
they haven't hit any like grand slams on the draft in a long
No.
time. I still remember them drafting Frederick Weiss, the French guy. Like the draft is notoriously garbage
Yeah.
for the Knicks. So
And if they
go ahead.
add, here's what they would. Here's how you look. So the way I look at it is, if say you don't make that trade, nothing happens from now until the regular season, which is like less than 2 months. So with that current team that just added Jalen Brunson, they added that center. I think they added another guy, but they're not huge names. Like, it could add a little tweak.
I think Brunson's going to be really good. But I
think they're
he's gonna
they're just a playoff team to me. They're like a 7 or 8 seed in the East.
I think they're
they
like
throw this team out there.
They may be on the 4 or 5 bubble if they
you put Donovan Mitchell. I'm looking for top 4 in the East. That's how my thing changed. That is a stud piled on top of with
everyone hopes it happens. But I think if you're Utah, you also know like the Knicks have to do it. The Knicks have been trying to make a big trade. The last big trade they pulled off is Carmelo. That didn't work. But they've been trying to get LeBron here for 20 years. Every year, this guy's going to come here. Garnett's going to come here. I'm so sick of every offseason. I don't believe anything. It's like, oh, yeah, it's a done deal. Well, I'll believe it when it is a done deal.
But think of the weight you take off Jalen Brunson's shoulders if you throw Donovan Mitchell in there. Because now everything's on Jalen Brunson, like, to play. Yeah, but he still needs to play well with the contract. So, like,
no, and you still need to,
And guess what those two guys aren't? Guess what those two guys aren't?
Randle going to be if all of a sudden he becomes a star? He was already getting pissed at R.J. Barrett for being better than him last year.
Whatever, sit on the bench, dude.
You can't pay that money to sit on the bench.
But
anyway,
guess what those two guys are? They're not drama queens. They're not. They're not like you saw all the news with the Nets and KD.
But also,
stay away from that.
Even if you got rid of all your draft picks, right? Whatever is available, and you get Donovan Mitchell, all of a sudden maybe some other stars are like the team's not far off. They may actually be headed in the right direction. It is New York. I know people. It was half the people will be scared to come to New York because of the pressure, the attention. But there's a whole chunk of superstars.
It's the best fan base. No arena was like MSG a couple years ago for the Knicks playoffs, and it was COVID, so it was like less fans.
No arena's selling out teams for Knicks teams that have sucked. The Garden's always jumping. The
Golden State, even in the playoffs, was like it was just like a scene for celebrities. Like it was just all celebrities for like it was.
Once you get into the playoffs, it starts to get that way because the fans can't afford the tickets and the celebrities can. But
to me, I like seeing Spike Lee is the best fan celebrity there is because the guy actually cares about what's going on in the baseball field and on the basketball court.
I don't know about baseball. He's certainly had all the basketball games, that's for sure.
Yeah, but I 100% agree. You add Donovan Mitchell, guys are going to look at the team. Like
maybe
I'm going to see 1 year, one player away. If you add Donovan Mitchell, I'm going to say you're one player like Jalen Brunson away. Like but hey, maybe R.J. Barrett becomes that guy. That's the thing. So if you add Donovan Mitchell,
certainly what the Knicks hope is if you could get somewhere closer to the Julius Randle you had 2 years ago, who was awesome. If you get a guy who could play like that, maybe he doesn't play like that so consistently, but then you get R.J. Barrett to become the star that draft spot.
And it leaves such a great lead
you got two
into their backup lineup with Derrick Rose.
And they have a defensive center that could, if he stays healthy, is great. The backup center they got can score. So then you have a pretty good bench of veteran players. Like you're right, it's not far off. I don't know who the extra player is and what it would cost to get there, but you're right. Like the Knicks, it's like graduating. It's just like pay whatever you got to get to the next level, and then start at the next level because for 20 years you failed at going where you are. Anyway, off the Knicks. Where do you want to go? Yankees, Giants.
Let's go with the Yankees, man. Huge win against Toronto that last Sunday. Off of, frankly, what was just awful loss on Saturday. The day I was at a wedding, glad I didn't watch the game.
Just a horrific stretch. But
I'm going to tell you, man, Oswaldo Cabrera is the future. Gleyber Torres can get off my team because Oswaldo Cabrera has been in.
I even wrote down to ask you about Cabrera.
He's been in the league 3 weeks. What, he's played left, right, second, short, third base. Like, what's going on here? And he's great at all of them.
Oh,
He's
he
a new
made the one
Who knew he was a new
going.
Derek Jeter with the throw and then the diving into the tarp to make that play? Like, what? And then he robs a homer in right field a couple of days before. Like,
oh, he's got to get some hits. But
what?
I agree. It's exciting. The 2 weeks prior to that, or even the 3 weeks prior, were just horrendous. Like, I honestly could barely watch the games. They
You just knew they were going to lose.
It was so
terrible.
pathetic. And it was like pathetic all around. Maybe the pitching wasn't as pathetic, but the hitting, you're just like, there's just not.
So what do you think about Domingo Germán? I mean, he should have went 6.
I don't want him on the team. I don't care how good.
You still don't like him?
Yeah. How about Mitchell? Or Montgomery, sorry.
Brian Mitchell.
You got
Jordan Montgomery, 9 innings.
Yeah, one hitter.
Oh,
like the guy's 4-0. The Yankees play them in like a week.
Is it because he's working with Yadier Molina behind the plate? Okay, Chervino's still a pretty good catcher.
No, but I obviously I think Yadier Molina helps. Obviously, I think he's got a chip on his shoulder. All of a sudden, he's like, wait a minute. The team I thought I was going to play my whole career with just shipped me away for a guy who can't even get on the field.
You know why they've won these last 3 games is because
Judge.
Andrew Benintendi's finally hit, which means you can't pitch around Judge. Then LeMahieu's starting to be. I've always liked LeMahieu in the 4 or 5 spot because he can drive and runs.
I like LeMahieu. I'd like to see Benintendi, then LeMahieu, then Judge.
And that's the thing. And you got Stanton joining us back tomorrow for the West Coast trip. We're gonna see a little bit of your favorite. We're gonna see a little bit of your favorite player, Ohtani, and see how bad he is when he hits a terrible start against the Yankees. But Judge is utterly out of this. I mean, did you see 453 feet last night off Taijuan Walker?
Like, I don't even care about the fact like how far they go. It's just he's getting hits like at the most critical time. Like, this team is walked into this series dying. They can't.
What, can't hit Scherzer? Can't hit Scherzer? I heard someone say in the broadcast, the best players make adjustments during the season and also mid-game. He struck out to Scherzer in the first at-bat, ugly at-bat, and then he comes up and he ropes one into the right field seat.
That was Scherzer, 100% his fault, because if he would have thrown a slider, Judge would have went for it, but he tried to be cute and throw him a fastball.
With a pitch before, Judge missed one to swing at. I was like, dude, what are you doing, man? This is not like
Scherzer's. I know he didn't have a great game, but he is great to watch pitch, and I just love his attitude.
I didn't understand the Mets not pitching Jacob deGrom. I understand Taijuan Walker's off back spasms, but you're going to save deGrom to face the Rockies tomorrow?
I think they're scared about him getting hurt, so it's always extra rest. As much as the fans feel the rivalry, like
it's so good. I hope there's a World Series between them two, man. It would be the saving grace for the MLB. I mean,
would you feel the Mets feel the pressure? It seems way more than the Yankees, because the Yankees were as dead as they could be. I know they beat Toronto the game before, but they had lost. They were just in free fall, and I thought for sure they were going to lose last night when Schmidt loaded the bases with 2 out. It was like,
I don't know.
4 guys get strike counts, and it's like you can't get one of them to hit a dribbler, can't get one of them to swing at a bad pitch, and then finally,
Well, it's just with Judge, it's so amazing like that. I was on a thought process for a week, and I know you don't care about personal stats, but I was like, yeah, there's no way he hits 61. And I'm like, great season, but he's not going to hit 61. Then he hits 2 bombs. And you're like, wait a second. That's only 13 homers away to tie in less than.
Like, the fact that, I just think of all the Yankees' histories of going against Randy Johnson's, Pedro, these pitchers that have this aura about them that, you're not going to score against them, and you got to just outlast them to the late innings and get into the bullpen, which the Yankees used to always have their strategy. But lately, like 2 weeks ago, you'd be like, we're getting no hits, so there's no shot. Yeah.
But now you've got to dominate this West Coast trip. The 7 games against the A's and the Angels. I need to see 5 wins tops, or at least.
Yeah, they got to get their mojo back. But
I hate playing in Oakland. Sometimes it feels like the Yankees just lose games that
Well,
like
maybe
you're like
Montas would be better than I thought he was going to be horrible last night against the Mets.
he was decent yesterday. Not
First
great.
two innings he was.
No, I mean but Clark Schmidt, whoa. I hate that dude. He was 1 out away from finish. Like I hate when that stuff happens. Like then you have to bring in Wandy Peralta. I don't like.
Hey,
Everyone loves Wandy Peralta. I don't like Wandy Peralta. Whatever. Kind of throws a forkball like changeup, and that's all he got. Like
you got
their bullpens are a mess right now.
The injuries are ridiculous. I mean, it is ridiculous what's going on. But hey, like you said, they're gonna head out west. They'll win more than they lose. They're still in the driver's seat for the division. Schedule upcoming is you got Athletics, Angels,
Rays, right in the Trop.
The Rays, Twins, 4 against the Twins, Tampa Bay, Brewers. Wow, that's a cool series.
Wait, is that in Milwaukee?
Yeah, actually, I got invited to go to that series. I didn't realize for a bachelor.
By who?
A friend of my brother-in-law's, Chance, is their bachelor party's going to see Yankees Brewers on that Saturday game, the 17th.
Are you going?
No, I'm not going. I have been to the Brewers games. Awesome place to see a game.
What is it, Miller Park? It's really nice.
It's right in a suburban area, and it's awesome. Go to a bar. The bus from the bar takes you. They're handing out shots. You go right to the game. Everyone at the game super friendly. Like it was just an all around great experience. But then they go Milwaukee 2 against the Pirates, so you should crush them. Red Sox, who will be dead in the water by then. Then Blue Jays, Orioles. I hope the Orioles make the playoffs.
I know. Orioles and Mets are my second teams here. I tell everyone, and I know we're supposed to hate the Mets. I cheer for the Mets whenever they're not playing the Yankees because it's good for New York. Our sports suck right now. So
your grandfather's a Mets fan. I don't wish
so like
as long as they're the second.
Yeah, but when it comes down to this, if it's Mets Astros, I'm gonna tell you what, I'm gonna be wearing a Mets jersey that series. My God.
Well, maybe not a jersey for me, but I'll certainly want them to win. Pretty much.
Well, I wanted to give you
Astros. I'm rooting for him to throw a no-hitter.
Oh, please! If I hear one more thing about Verlander, he's cheating. We all know it is. I'm gonna tell you, Scherzer and DeGrom are 10 times the pitcher Justin Verlander is. Don't care what anyone says. Justin Verlander is always a good pitcher. Then he went to Houston. Then he got great. Wonder why? He's a little special, little mix over there. Yeah, only good though. He was not great. He wasn't like.
Yeah, did he win a Cy Young in Detroit? Pretty sure he did. I'm not good with memory.
Yeah, is winning a Cy Young really that hard? Is it that hard to win a Cy Young? It's only in prospective leagues. NL. Yeah.
Who's your favorite pitcher of all time?
All time? Give me a second. I don't even know if it's a Yankee. I'll say. I really love. It's a guy. It was a guy from the bullpen. I'm gonna tell you.
Ariano?
No, it was like more of like recent. Yeah, I think it was like 2017. I really liked David Robertson, but it wasn't him.
David Robertson, that's your favorite.
I'm gonna tell you, I was when Aroldis Chapman was going through like when he was unstoppable. When he was unstoppable with the Yankees, he was at one point. He was like, "Oh my God, I don't want to face him." He had the cool music. He had the sirens coming through, the heat going through the stadium. I don't know where that's going.
Different way. Who do you think has won the most Cy Young awards?
Ever or like recently?
Ever. It's someone you would know.
Well, I usually think of either.
Or how many do you think? What do you think the record is?
7.
Bingo.
Probably.
Pitch for the Yankees.
Pitch for the Yankees. Clemens.
Yep. Clemens got 7. Then you got Randy Johnson with 5. Maddox with 4. Steve Carlton with 4. Scherzer with 3. Kershaw with 3. Pedro with 3. Jim Palmer with 3. Tom Seaver with 3. Sandy Koufax 3. What I'm trying to say is, Jason DeGrom's not even in that list. He's won 2. Like, it's really hard to win a Cy Young. It's really hard.
It is. It is. But nowadays, I will say the Cy Young winners nowadays are not as dominant as they were. I'd say back.
Well, their stats aren't the same, but they're also.
It's like You used to see guys throw
Throwing-
like 1.5 ERAs.
Yeah,
Now
but
you see
they
guys throw
also
twos. Like
they used to throw 9 innings. They used to throw full games, and they didn't have these steroids and little golf balls that go flying out of yards in little stadiums. Like it's a different game for sure.
I will. Okay, I'll give you this. John Smoltz. I love him as a commentator in the booth on Fox. So I'll give you that. John Smoltz is one of my favorite pitchers.
John Smoltz.
Never seen him pitch, but I like.
I watched all those series against the Braves, and I didn't like John Smoltz back then, but he's certainly one of the best pitchers that we've seen for sure. That Braves team was with Glavine and Maddox was incredible. Anyway, anything else?
Well, the last thing I have for Yankees, I want to give an update on Judge's stats. So he's been batting 297, 48 homers, 105 RBIs, 1.056 OPS. He is the best. He is number one OPS, number one in homers, number one in RBIs, and he's
Is that
18th
American
in batting
League
average.
or that's Major
Whole
League?
league, Major League.
It's awesome. It's awesome.
And then they all. Who else?
More important to me is like, well, obviously the RBIs, but the timing of when he's getting it. Like, you get a home run like when the Yankees desperately need a run, and he's just hitting solo home runs just to get them off the mat and give them confidence. That's what stars do. Like they save you in your most dire times. Not.
I really hope he doesn't leave this year, but I just have a feeling he will. It's just like
Giant.
Why would you go there? Like I don't.
Like from California, and they're going to need to spend a lot of money to compete with the Padres and the Dodgers for the next couple of years. So.
I could see him going to the Padres. If he went to
the Padres, how many guys can they afford?
Tatis is in trouble now. So like,
I know, but they're still going to pay him. You got like a $345 million contract. Manny Machado, they're loaded with guys.
Do you think he'll get? Do you think he'll get $400 million?
Who's that? Judge.
Let's
see. How old is he again?
30.
He's 30.
7-year contract.
He's going to want an 8 or 9 year contract, and I can't see him taking anything less than that.
Dude, because you can't you won't be good in 9 years. You will not. Like there's no way to say that.
That's like someone's going to give it to him. So you could either choose to give it or not, but someone's going to do it. I agree with you. Every long-term contract that I can remember for the Yankees, they rarely work out.
Cole, they're already losing the Garrett Cole contract.
That's what I'm saying.
3 years in. Like,
yeah, I agree. But you hear the fan base.
You know they're going to lose him.
So you think $40 million, 8 or 9 years? Is 40 enough?
45. But he wants to be most highest paid position player, which he should because he's better than Mike Trout.
What is the highest paid position player getting?
Mike Trout. I think it's in the 36 range. I know Scherzer $43 million is the highest in the MLB.
But that's like the end of your career.
Steve Cohen looks like a genius with Scherzer.
Yeah, Mike Trout, 12 years, $426 million, $37 million average.
Dude. Why you play for the Angels? You're never gonna win ever.
Did you hear how much money that was? You could change everyone you know's life for the better.
You could get that anywhere. Like, why would you pick the Angels?
Well, maybe it's not our business. It's better than him doing it in Philadelphia, who he roots for. God,
they still wouldn't be good. Did you see Didi Gregorius got released? Really sad. Whatever.
Yeah, I don't know about sad, but
because he's a good player. You know he's a good player. He just doesn't fit there. He fit with the Yankees. That's why he was good with the Yankees.
I think the timing was right. What about 9 years, $360 million? That's $40 million a year. Like I could see him getting $360 to $380 million.
Yeah,
I don't know if
now with my favorite player Stanton coming back, they should be pretty locked and key. I wonder how much longer they have Stanton.
That can be. He could opt out. I don't think he will. Yeah, but I think it's too dangerous for him to opt out based on his injury history.
Oh, he won't be. That contract won't be picked up unless he's playing red hot.
But even still, so Yankees got $30 million from the Marlins after Stanton opted into his contract. 7 years, $218 million. So for For the Yankees, they're saying it's a 7-year, 118 million, which is about 27 million a year.
Through 2025. It's like 3 more years.
Well, it was through 2020. 2027, he makes $25 million. 2028 is a $25 million team option or a $10 million buyout. So you really have him through 28 if you want him, but at least 27.
All right, that's good.
And it's a
He'll
weird.
heat up.
His contract goes 29 million, 32, 32, 32, 29, 25, 25. Start to go down.
Yeah,
Smart.
God.
Anyway,
I think they'll turn it around, but then switching over to Giants, they win another game, but injuries are kind of
injuries are destroying.
taking over.
They lost Beavers, their 6th-round linebacker pick, who was looking good on early downs. He's done for the season. Sterling Shepard gets activated today, so you'll see him on the field. I know you like Sterling Shepard. The offense looked very good in the passing game. You know, Jones' only mistake was the tight end, which is looking really terrible for the Giants. I know they have a lot of faith in their rookie, but the ball went through his hands. That cost the interception. None of them are looking great.
That cannot happen.
Ricky Seals-Jones, we haven't even seen yet. That kid, Andre Miller, I think he was the wide receiver out of Connecticut, who was looking great, broke his forearm, so he's off.
Keandre Miller.
No, it's not Keandre. Andre Miller, I believe.
Okay.
I think he's a physically huge wide receiver, and they were going to move him into tight end. He was looking great. There's not many big, lineup decisions for the Giants. Most of the offense is set. Most of the defense is set. I'd say tight end is really scarily weak. Offensive line, the injuries really bad. So I don't even know who's going to play because I haven't really given you a good feel of what Lemieux's injury is. Is it real? And then Feliciano, the center, has missed a lot of games, but they're saying heat exhaustion. It seems weird to have missed so many games with that. But that's scary.
Well, we already predicted their season, so we'll see how that goes. But we'll get back to picks, which should be harder for the Giants this year because they're better. I guess that makes it harder. I don't know. Again, I assume
their schedule they have some teams that stink on their schedule.
Good, bad, bad.
Classic stinkers.
It's like good. It's like good, bad, fine, bad. That's how their schedule goes.
But the only guy who might not make the lineup that is Oshane Ximines. He was that big.
Oh, really?
Oh, he had a lot of prospect, and now they're not thinking he's going to make the lineup because some of the young defensive linemen they brought in have been looking really good. So other than that, there's not a lot of crazy roster things. Saquon's pissed. Saquon's ready to drop
everybody. I'm gonna.
Yeah, good. Let's see that attitude. But I don't expect to see too many Giants in the final preseason game. But who knows with the only three preseason games? But I don't think we'll see the starter. So, your favorite player on the team's got a concussion, but I bet he'll be back for game 1.
Who? Oh, Graham Gano.
Only guy who's kicker is the favorite player on the team. Well, maybe some Ravens.
Well, but he's so good though. He is
all right.
I don't even know. I want to ask you. This would have been an interesting topic for weeks to come. Who's your favorite quarterback to watch in the NFL right now?
Favorite quarterback besides Daniel Jones?
Oh, he's fun to watch. God,
that's interesting.
He is interesting to watch.
Fun's not the word now.
Justin Herbert for me.
Justin Herbert,
crazy.
I mean, the Bills Chief game was
I cannot stand Patrick Mahomes. I like Josh Allen.
That game is not quarterback play, just in an insane. That's like video games, just throwing up Hail Mary, just boom, gun it down the field. I don't know who. I have a hard time.
I still wish Joe Burrow and the Bengals won the Super Bowl.
I love Joe Burrow.
I think though, although in other videos that I am in, I'm not so fond of Joe Burrow, but I definitely he's a great quarterback.
Yeah,
he's a good quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, he just brought swagger to a team who sucks.
Although when I had my wisdom teeth out, I decided to attack him. He still is a good quarterback.
Yeah, if we ever need ratings, we'll put those videos out there where Matty thought we won the Rangers won the Stanley Cup, and some other profanities about his favorite players on that team. But with that,
Well, Trevor Lawrence is going to have a good year, though. I mean, because
I know I love you guys,
he's going to
but
have
I
a good
just
year.
can't. It's hard for me to root for Clemson sometimes.
Oh, look who's pop! I love it. I'm very excited for football. Now you see the games, all your like favorite games pop up, and now it's NFL and college football are starting to come up. Then it's going to be.
Any last notes before we get into, and next week we should do certainly a football preview as we get closer to the season.
Yeah, we'll have if we want, we could still do college football picks, only top 25. The first week's always hard because you've no clue what teams
I'll talk anything about football, and when we get into hockey, I know that's all we'll talk about with you.
Well, that was the thing I was going to ask you real quick. If we just a couple minutes, I thought it was very interesting. So someone did a video on YouTube about the top 32 teams, or not top 30, obviously.
Who is this person that did this?
No, it's someone like very well known, and like he is.
I was gonna say, is it like
he's like 250,000 subscribers on YouTube.
Okay.
Like
so
his videos, like he knows what he's talking about. He's from Canada, and he's a big.
Yeah, all right.
But the video was basically about each franchise's like the most pressure to win a Stanley Cup, basically. And I think I want to read you the top 10, and I want to see what you think, because I think some of it's odd. And then I think some of it's correct at some points.
Opinion, so let's cruise through it quick and then finish up.
So first he had the Maple Leafs.
Agree.
I think what's scary with them is they look at Calgary and they are gonna see like that's gonna be us in a couple of years.
But I
agree.
Matthews. Pressure in Toronto's that's the premier. Like Toronto and Montreal are the cities for hockey, you know.
And they've been so like they just have blown it so much.
Right, what else you got on there?
Then he had the Florida Panthers second, which I completely disagree.
There's zero pressure because
there's no fans. Yeah. I mean,
they shouldn't be in the. If they were the odds-on favorite, they shouldn't.
They would lose. 10.
Yeah, no Florida team has the pressure to do anything.
Yeah. Third, he had the Penguins, which I understand because they're seeing a door close with Crosby, Malkin, and Letang. So this is probably the last year that they could really make a run. I agree with that,
but I don't know. All right. Well, I'll keep listening.
And then Carolina at 4, 100% agree. They've made the playoffs for 4 or 5 straight years now. They haven't been to the Eastern Conference Finals since they broke that 10-year playoff. But is this also
based on their chances or just pressure to win a title in general? Because if it's pressure to win,
both
pressure to win a title in general, I think all the Canadian cities are really strong. New York, Boston, Chicago is always strong, like every single season.
And then I'll skip all the way. So you had to where the Rangers are. He had Vegas at 5, Oilers at 6.
Vegas.
I see.
What pressure is Vegas? They're barely.
Well, Vegas is. I think where he's coming from with this video is the upper level management, because Vegas has been through all these playoff runs.
Oh yeah, their season ticket holders been around for 3 years. Get the hell out of there with Vegas.
Then he had the Oilers, which I 100% agree with the Oilers.
Oilers 100%.
Calgary 7th, which I don't agree because they don't have a good team. What pressure is there when you don't have a good team?
There is pressure in all the Canadian cities to win. It's their sport.
And then 8, you had Washington. No. Really don't understand that because I understand OV's career is coming to an end.
But forget Washington. They're not a good sports team.
And then they have the Rangers at 9, which is intriguing because a lot of Rangers fans talk about, like, who were able to watch 94 was talking about the 54-year curse. And everyone's like, yeah, it was great when it's over, but are we waking up now? We're halfway to 50 years. Like, and there's been
it's just one thing about New York is there are all the teams outside of the Yankees have just been a turd fest. So everyone's just kind of like, we'll take the playoff. We'll take the playoffs. Like it was so geeked up to just be like, oh, like we're in it. Like, Ranger fans are going into the season. Like, I don't feel the pressure to win a Stanley Cup. I'm excited to watch it. I don't feel like, for me, when you say pressure to win the Stanley Cup, it's like if everyone's expecting you to do it, and you're going to fail if you don't. Cowboys have pressure to win the Super Bowl every year, and we know they're going to fail.
They fail.
Yeah.
Well, I think with the
There's
Rangers is
cities
that
that
going
just-
into last year there was pressure to make the playoffs, but this year I think if they don't win a cup in the next 2 years, there could be pressure starting to build up because you have
here it will
you have the
grow.
group. You have the group.
If they do well this season again, there'll be a ton of pressure. If they don't win, if they stink, the fan base will go crazy though. So they're New York's kind of in a weird spot where they just need to be really good.
They just need to kind of do like
I think
flirt
people
with the
will
same area they were at, kind of.
Yeah,
like
exactly, and people will be okay with that.
Which they will. And then 10th to wrap it up, he had Colorado. Don't care about that. 11 was Minnesota.
How can it be pressure to win after you just won?
Well, because they got one thing with Colorado is very, very interesting to me. Is I think they are a good team, yes, and I think they're going to learn how much they're going to miss Kadri. Haha, miss out on for the Islanders. Great, it's hilarious. They can't sign anyone. But I think that city's quickly going to realize how that team is not very good when they either lose McKinnon or Makar. Because
there is no pressure. What there's
not from the city, from upper level management to kind of be on it again.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
I think his list was made up between a little bit of pressure from the fan base, odds to actually win it from sportsbook, whatever it is, and then also pressure from upper level management to the team and the coaching staff. Like you gotta still be good. And I definitely think that's with Colorado. They're still gonna be like even Tampa. I guarantee there's pressure. Like Tampa's like we got to get back to the finals because they still have a decent team. They lost a lot, so
but it's like pressure from 5 people, as opposed to the entire city breathing down your neck.
There's pressure from me, fan base. I'm pressuring all my 4 teams. I want a title. The city of New York wants a title. Pressure's on.
They're feeling it, I'm sure.
But you obviously are there when the Giants are not going to win the Super Bowl this year. Like anything could happen, but
just like this. That they did win the Super
Bowl. We need to run this clip in February this year when we're.
I sure as hell hope so. I will be happy to eat crow on all my predictions and whatever.
What would you do if they won the Super Bowl? Like, what would your initial reaction be?
Shock. I don't know.
I remember
when they went the wild card way, and like it was almost a disappointment. Because during the season, you were just like, I never missed a Giants game. But you're watching it, but you're like, not watching it with enthusiasm like this could be the year. And then,
I thought it was because how young I was.
Yeah, but then you get in the playoffs and you're like, they're going to get – everyone's saying they're going to get killed. They're going to get killed. And you're like, oh, they won one. And you're really excited for the first win. You're like, that's awesome. Like, I can't believe – and then you're like, they can't do it again. So, like, each week –
we've even talked about that, like, certain, like – jinxes going into series, like you obviously knew in 2019 that the Yankees weren't going to lose in the division series to the Twins. Like that, just like it was something like you're like that's they would never lose.
But I also thought they'd never lose to the Marlins or the Diamondbacks, especially the Diamondbacks. Never in a million years did I think that coming off of that craziness in New York and the insanity that was going on in the city at that time, with the president throwing the pitch out and like jets flying over the stadium, like every person in New York was ready to run through a wall, and they win that, get to the World Series, and then to lose to a team who has purple uniforms, who's barely been in baseball. It was the worst. It was like,
well, I thought it was honestly
the Ravens killed me. It's like losing to an expansion team.
But you know what I've learned though, the Yankees, we've always had expectations. And this year it was hard with the Rangers going in the playoffs because you had expectations for them to win, but you had no idea what it was going to look like. Like, honestly, I couldn't tell you anything what it was going to look like.
Pressure, like, remember both of us talking before that Rangers series going, should you go to game round 1 or round 2?
But we couldn't get a grasp because I was like, they're supposed to beat Pittsburgh, but like these guys have never played in the playoffs.
So it wasn't pressure. We weren't playing. Next year, you're going to be like, yeah, they better win the first round, and they better win the second round, and then it's okay. Game on. We're in the but they're going to win. They're going to win the Stanley Cup. This year there wasn't pressure to win it. They just survived. Next year there'll be pressure to get.
And then they hit the ground right. Honestly, I think they're going to win the Stanley Cup while I'm still in high school. That'll be a graduation gift for me in June, 12th grade. Win the Stanley Cup.
I'll write them.
Win the Stanley Cup.
All right.
I honestly could see that happening though. That would be the luck.
I hope so. I hope you're right. I'll take it for your college graduation. Just
Maybe it'll be two. Maybe it'll be two by then.
Oh,
This year or next year.